Think about it. Why was that? Do you know? The end of persecution. All right. Let me ask you this. Is it running?
Yeah, it's going.
Let me ask you this. If, for example, you are told that if you join a group, that the government will come for you, and if they get you, they will kill you. Will you join that group? Right? But if you are told if you join a group, you will get favored by the government, and the government can possibly give you some positions inside this. And in the government. Would you have interest to maybe join that group? Yeah. But why are you joining? So now the group, what it believes, what it stands for, I didn't even tell you, right? But just those two facts make you say, okay, I want to join the group, I don't want to join the group. During the time of the persecution, it was the former, right? Those people that joined the group, they joined the group knowing that the Roman Empire will persecute them, and if they find them, they will kill them. So they joined that. Right? So they joined only because they believed it was the truth. There wasn't a benefit in joining the Christian group. After persecution ended, who ended persecution? Okay, guys, you got it. Thank you very much. Constantine the Great ended persecution, right? And then he said that he made Christianity to become more the favorable religion in the empire. Right, so now bishops are starting to have authority, right? And so now people are joining the church, not because they believe that it is the truth, but because it is the favored, what? Religion, right? So now when you have this kind of people that are not looking for the truth, but they're looking for benefits, right? Money, positions in the government. What do you get in the church? Politics. You see that the persecution was preventing that from coming. Right? People only those who truly are seeking God join the church. But then when the church was stopped to be persecuted, then you have this problem. Does that make sense to you? And then when you have these people that are in the church for different reasons, then you will see also heresies. Wrong beliefs, because they are not in the spirit of God, right? They're not coming here for the truth. But who knows why they come out with this heresy, right? So right when the persecution ends, then you see the era of heresies and politics, right? And to resolve these heresies, the church fathers from around the world, they come together and they start discussing theology, discussing what we believe, right? What was the first council, by the way? What was the first church council? Jerusalem. Very good. That was in the book of Acts, in the pages of the Bible. It's the Council of Jerusalem. So the concept of councils is not like the Orthodox invented. By the way, we invent very little, right? Most, if not all, of the things that we do is rooted in the Bible. It's rooted in the Bible. Okay? And then in these councils, our fathers, they declared dogma and canon. What's dogma? What's canon? Who remembers? We talked a lot about dogma and canon. Huh? Yes.
It's like the truth of what we believe.
Which one? Dogma or canon?
Dogma.
Dogma. Okay. Dogma is truth, which means these are unchangeable truths. Right? These are unchangeable truths. These are truths that do not change. So, for example, let me ask you this. Jesus died on the cross, right? We believe that Jesus died on the cross. Can this change over time? This faith? We say that Jesus Christ is God and also human. Can this change what we believe about him? It can't. We believe we believe that God is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Is that going to change tomorrow?
No.
So these are dogmas. They can't change. You can't change these kind of things. Right? It's once declared to be true, and it has been true from the beginning and will be true to the end. Jesus Christ will be true from the beginning to the end. The Trinity is true from the beginning to the end. These are dogmas. You can't change them. Okay? But canons, these are how we do things. The way we do things. When you come and you worship in the liturgy, Holy Communion is a dogma. Right? That we need to take communion is a dogma. That we need communion for salvation is a dogma. You can't change that. That liturgy is necessary is a dogma. Right? But the specifics of liturgy, like what we do, how we get in, those kind of things, right? Those are canons, and they might change from church to church. Right? If you go to the Coptic liturgy, or if you go to the Armenian liturgy, or if you go to the Greek liturgy, and if you go to Ethiopian liturgy, you're going to see differences. Right? But what will not change in those differences? The dogmas. The Holy Communion is needed for your salvation. That doesn't change. Right? That liturgy is necessary. But the way they do it, how they do it, might be different. Does that make sense? So these rules are canons. How we fast. You know, for example, in the Russian church, they say they fast. When they fast, they don't eat oil. Yeah, they say, right? Oil, right? For us as well, okay when we're fasting?
Yeah.
It's fine, right?
Yeah.
But for them it's not. Why? Because what we eat and what we drink during the periods of fasting is canon. But the fact that we have to fast is dogma. Right? So that's the difference between dogma and canon. What the definition of fasting is dogma. But like the specifics of how we're going to do it, what days we're going to do it, right? Those are canons. So the church declares, oh, this is how we do things, right? Those are canons. But let me tell you one thing. Sometimes we think, oh, this is a canon, so it's not dogma. It's just a canon, which means I can what? Disobey it. Can you disobey canon?
No.
Can you?
No.
You
shouldn't.
You shouldn't, right? And not only shouldn't, you must not disobey canon, right? You must not disobey canon. You should do the canon. Then what's the point of canon? Right? Actually, sometimes we like say, oh, but this is just some bishop they came together and they made this up. It's not dogma. Guess what? These bishops were appointed by who? By Jesus Christ. These bishops are representing Christ and are saying this is what you ought to do. This is our canon. You don't listen to them. You don't listen to who? To Jesus, to Christ, to the Lord. So if the synod or if the bishops, they say something and they ask us to do something and they create canons, we are obliged to do that, right? So just because canons, the bishops, the synod can change the canon, it doesn't mean we have the right to disobey the canon, right? Going into the church, taking off your shoe is a canon. It's not a dogma, right? But does that mean you should go in with your shoe on because it's not a dogma? No, right? Even if it's a canon, we ought to respect it. We ought to do that, right? Let me ask you this. You go into the school, right? You go into a school. There is rules and regulations in the university, some of you are going to the university, or in the high school, right? Are you going to obey them or are you not going to obey them? You're going to obey the rules, right? Are the rules dogma? Are the rules dogma?
No.
No. Why? Because the rules can change, right? So you can think of the rules of the school or the rules of university or the rules of the workplace to be like canon, right? But if you don't obey them, then you might be taken out of the school. Guess what? If you don't obey the canons of the church, you're going to be taken out of the and that's like, it's still serious. You need to obey the canons. right? And you need to, and the dogma are unchangeable truths, right? Just because it could change over time, it does not take away its authority over us as Christians, right? So that's why we take those dogma and canon very seriously. Because a lot of times you say, this is just canon. No. It is canon, but it was set by the representatives of Jesus Christ. Does that make sense? Alright. Alright, we already went through this. So now we're going to do discussion. The question is, if there was persecution today, will we still be Christians? Or will we go away? That's the question. Answer it to yourself, and also answer it as a group. How many of us will actually remain Christians? Well, how many of us will still be here if there was persecution today? Right? TAs, can you help grouping them together?
Okay. Can we have you join?
Shall we
They can turn around and then they go. Yeah.
If you ask us, we're gonna say we're gonna okay, we said we're gonna do
You guys are not in it. You're not in it. You in particular. You in particular. The rest are in it.
Alright. Iba kanan, iba kanan. Iba kanan. Alright. So what do you guys think? Any thoughts? Huh? You have thoughts? No, what were your thoughts? Come on.
Oh my God. Don't be nervous.
As a group,
Yeah.
we have a few that were like on the edge. Like, we're generally that it's worth it because if someone kills you, you gotta have this like a quick hard test for partners.
Yeah.
So like you don't really.
It's a win-win situation, but it's not easy. How many of you said, for sure, I'm not going to deny it?
Not for sure.
I'm like, whatever comes, I'm going to follow Christ to my grave. How many of you said, I don't really know myself? How many of you said, I don't really know myself? How many of you said that? I don't really know, like, that situation. I don't know, only God knows for me. May God help me. How many of you said that?
Yeah, well, it's no, you know that that's what you're supposed to do, but like, obviously.
It's not only about morals, by the way.
But it's also about your faith in like.
Yeah. So you guys remember, let me tell you a story from the Bible. So Jesus, he said to his disciples, he said to them, I am going to be killed. He literally told them that. He said, I'm going to be persecuted. They're going to crucify me. And that's where I'm going now. He told the disciples that. Okay? And Peter, he said to him, actually, Jesus said, he said to them, when they persecute me, when they kill me, all of you here will deny. He said that. He said that. All of you will deny me. And Peter said to him, Lord, oh no, not me. If I'm going to follow you to the death, I'm going to be with you to the very end. Right? And then Jesus said to him, before morning, before the hen crows, is that what it is? Rooster crows. You will deny me how many times? 3 times. And when the persecution came, they all flee. They say Mark, the author of the Bible, Mark, the author of one of the Gospels, they say that somebody was holding in his clothes. And he just like took his clothes off, and his clothes was top bottom, and he had nothing. So he'd run away naked. Right? This is Mark. St. Mark. Alright? Why? Because when it comes to life and death, oh boy, I love my life. I don't want to suffer. Right? So, but what Peter said was commendable, right? Because even though he didn't know himself, but he wanted to follow Christ, right? That was his life. He loved him so much, and that's why he wanted to follow him till the very end. He wanted, if he could, he wanted to be there under his cross, but he couldn't do it. Right? And when he denied him, Jesus looked at him, right? He gave him an eye contact. And it hit him hard. And he went in and he wept like a baby. Because the problem wasn't that he didn't want to follow him. The problem was that he couldn't overcome himself. Right? He couldn't overcome that, he couldn't overcome his need not to be in pain. Right? He couldn't overcome running away from persecution for the sake of the one whom he loves. But later on, with grace, with God, what he was able to do was be crucified upside down for his Lord. Right? So, what he wasn't able to do, later on he was able to do. Right? First, he ran away, he didn't want to run away. He did what he didn't want to do. Did he want to run away? No. Right? But sometimes, your level of spirituality doesn't allow you to go to that extent, right? Because you're weak, you're flesh. You can't, right? But then when you grow in the Spirit of God, you are able to go not just to die for Christ, but even to suffer for Christ to the extent that St. Peter did and St. Paul did. But this is how you need the grace of God, right? So that energy that said, I want to follow him to the end is good. And also, those of you that said, I don't really know because I don't know how I'll act. I don't know myself. That is also correct, right? Because you don't really know, right? When it comes to like pain, suffering, right? I was talking to this group over there. They were making them being ate by wild animals. And you see it. They show it to you. And you see the Christians being devoured. And you are tens in line. You don't know what you're going to do at that moment. I hear you be like, no, I'm just going to deny for today and I'm not to know that. You might think so, right? But so what actually you need is to pray. Remember, you remember Gethsemane? Gethsemane, you remember? While before crucifixion, Jesus was praying. He was praying until blood came out of him as sweat. Right? And he was asking Peter and John and Jacob to pray with him. But what were they doing? Sleeping. They were tired. And so when the persecution came, they couldn't. Right? So we need to grow in our relationship with God, in our life in prayer, in our knowledge of Him, to be able to actually withstand persecution. We need His power and His grace, right? Because we love ourselves and we love our lives, right? Because we don't want to die and we don't want to suffer. It's just the way we are. But to be able to really follow Jesus, we need to grow spiritual. We need to grow spiritual, right? So only He knows. You see, Jesus, He knew that Peter will deny Him. So only He knows whether you will deny Him or not. And who knows? I might deny Him too. But I'm like also Peter, like, I want to follow Christ to the very end. And I will not, I will do my, like, even if I deny Him, I'm going to be the one that is whipping and crying, crying like who? Like Peter, right? So, sometimes, by the way, let me tell you this. Your mind and your heart my conflict. Right? Your mind is saying, I want to do this, I want to go, I want to die for Christ. But your heart is saying, no. I do not want to suffer. Get out of here right now. Right? So sometimes there is a conflict, and so you need that to grow, right? That love of the heart for Christ. It needs to grow to be able to take persecution. So what we learn from this is we need to strengthen our spirituality if we're going to be able to overcome persecution. And I was telling this group over there, it's not that far as much as we think it is. It could happen. It happened recently. What happened, who remembers when it happened, like in the last 100 years, what kind of persecutions were there? Yeah? Communism, maybe? Communism was pretty bad for Christians. It was massacre of Christians, right? Almost, it's not genocide, but it's like what? It was complete eradicating Christianity. It was communism. It wasn't only the first centuries. Islam was persecution, right? It was great persecution during the time of Islam. Right? So you don't know how the world is going to change in a way that there's going to be persecution for Christians. Right? You don't know. You don't know. So we need to be ready. And the Bible does say, you know, there will be storms, and there will be wind, right? And there will be heavy rain. So that's like, say, for example, persecution is something like that. So this is our time to pray, to connect with the Lord. Does that make sense? All right. Next one is the Holy Trinity. Right? We remember the second session was about the Holy Trinity. We said the Holy Trinity was one in essence, you can see it, and three in person. The Holy Spirit was one in essence, and is one in essence and three in persons. Now I'm going to ask you, because we discussed this, what does essence mean? What does it mean? Essence. Well, I mean, we say one in essence. What does essence mean? Yeah?
John.
It must not just be memorization, right? One essence is three persons. But what does it mean? Divinity. The essence is the divinity. But what does essence mean? Essence doesn't necessarily mean divinity, but we have the divine essence, right? It's one of the essence. There's also the human essence. There's also a catessence. There's also a car essence, right? What does essence mean? Okay, what is the human essence? The essence is, for example, the human essence is what makes us a human being. Right? For you, all of us here are human beings, right? Yes. For you to be called a human being, what did you need to have? Right? So that's the essence of humanity. Right? What is it like? You're a human, I see you, right? You look at me. Alright, guys, you look at me, right? I'm a human being, right? How do you know I'm a human being? What makes me a human being? Yeah, like what is it? If you didn't have this, I wouldn't think you are a human being. Your soul, okay, maybe angels have soul too, right? Body? God's not body. A mind, a brain. Being able to speak. Maybe, alright, guys, maybe there is a specific type of hand that humans have. It's a specific type of pen. Are you with me?
Yeah.
So there is the essence of a human being, right? The eye, the human beings have eyes, right? Even if you don't have an eye, you are deformed, right? It's just, but you do have an eye. Human beings have eyes, right? Nose, ears, the human body, right? Being able to speak, this intellect, those kind of things. All of these is what makes us what? A human being, right? So that's the essence of a human being. If you don't have the essence of a human being, you're not a human being, right? So all of us here, we have that essence. And then there's also some things that are non-essential. And the non-essentials are what differentiates us, right? Like what are like some of the non-essentials, for example? Race. I don't know if race is gender, yes. But it has to be a human being has how many genders? Two genders, right? So alright, what else? What else? What else? So if you're a human being, you're either a male or a female. Right? Let's not get into the politics. Let's talk medically. Medically, you are either male or female. What else? What else? Maybe the color of your skin. The type of hair that you have. Right? We have picture right here. Hair type, eye color, height. Right? All of these are non-essential. They're not essential. They're not essential characteristics. They're non-essential. Yeah, they're different. Quiet, guys. Quiet. They're different for everybody. So they're non-essentials, right? So they're not part of the essence.
So they're not a
Yeah, if you are white or if you are black, you're still a human being, right? Your essence of being a human is still there. Right, so they're non-essential characteristics. Right, so essence means that what actually makes you a human being. So when we say that God is the Holy Trinity, they're one in essence. There's one essence of divinity. There's only one essence. There is no multiplicity of divinity. Right, the essence of the divine is one. Right, but then in that essence there is three. In the human essence, how many human beings are there? How many? Only one human being? One human person?
In one essence, just one person.
No. Like the essence of human beings. How many persons have the essence of a human being?
That's plural.
The essence of a human being. How many have the essence? Every human being has the essence of being human, right? So there are 7 billion persons. Are you with me? There are 7 billion persons, but we are, by the way, we're one in essence. Yeah? We are one in essence. Our essence is one. As humans, our essence is one. Right? But we are different persons. Right? Is this making sense to you? Yes. So we're saying there is one divine essence, but how many divine persons? 3. One divine essence, and then 3 divine persons. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Alright. But the thing is, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to go over, because you know what a person is. I'm not going to go over this. Yeah, this is not. This is the divine essence, right? For example, by the way, being weak, meaning dying, is part of our kind of essence, right? Every human being does. So this is the God's essence. He is invisible spirit, omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent, eternally the same, ever existing. Right? This is part of his essence. Right? Some people even add things like he is love, he is patient, he is kind. That's part of God's essence. So some people say, so this is who he is, right? Unlike us, this is his essence. And there's only how many divine essence? Only one divine essence. There's only one divine essence. But what's the difference? Okay, let me ask you this. There's 7 billion of us, right? 8 billion. One essence. Right? 8 billion, one essence. Right? Is it the same like, okay, they're just three persons, they're three gods, a kind of, right? Like three human beings, like there's three gods, but they have the same nature or essence. Is that the only thing? Or is it a little bit different from us human beings? Right? So what makes theirs a little bit different is it's not just in essence that they are one. Even though they're three persons, they have the same will. Right? So three persons was one will, that's where it becomes difficult. You have 7 billion people, do you have the same will? We have 7 billion wills. Right? But, by the way, husband and wife, when they get married, they're supposed to be united and have one will kind of thing, right?
Yes.
But, so you see, in marriage, you see, even the concept of marriage comes from the concept of Trinity, and we'll talk about it if you want. So this oneness, right? So two human beings. After that, they're no longer two, but what? One, right? Marriage is not like, business partnership, right? Marriage is truly oneness, right? You're becoming one. And that couple they need to get to that level of having one will. But God has the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. They're not just one in essence, but they also have one will. Right? And they also have one action. Meaning, everything that they do, right? They do it together almost. Right? When they created heaven and earth, you can't say, the Father created the heavens, but the Son did not create the heavens. You can't say that. Because it's their action. There's deep oneness in the Holy Trinity. Right? Unlike human beings. That's why we say, even though there are three persons, how many God? One God. Right? We say one God because their will is one, their action is one. You can't be like, man, the Son of God said no to me, I'm going to go to the Father. Right? It's not going to work that way. Okay? Because there's one God, there's one will, right? There's one action. Right? So that's funny to you because how can they be different, right? Like it's ridiculous. So that's why we say, even though there are three persons, there is what? One God. Alright, I'm not going to go over this. You understand that this is the discussion question.
So,
10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. This is the question.
I say this shit just
The Muslims, quiet guys, listen up. Muslims, this is what they say to us. They say to us, God is only one person. What the heck are you talking about? Right? And not three, because it is simple to understand. Right? Their argument is if it's too complicated, it's probably not true. Right? So that's what they're saying. You can't even put it in your mind. Right? And so they argue this. And so the discussion question is, what is wrong with the argument? Right? What's wrong with their argument to say? Right? What is wrong with the argument to say? Because it makes sense that he's one person, we're just going to say he's one. What's wrong with that argument?
they're basically telling their
All right, back to your groups, the same groups, please.
Alright. Basically, there's parameters that's they say, God makes these things we can't understand. That's it. You don't really say that God's a creator. Jesus created. We can do anything that we can accept God and create God. So that doesn't make sense. That's false. But you look until the right things. That's not their main point. Their main point is that Jesus is not God. That's not true.
One thing I learned from talking to some of you, especially I talked to you, is that at school you guys really are in contact with a lot of Muslims. And they... huh? Oh, at school anymore? But what I hear is that there's a lot of Muslim preaching that like people like really do like a religious debate with Muslims, where they'll tell you like, yeah? Conversation? I hear some people, to the extent some young people converting to become Muslim. Do you know anybody, young person that converted to become a Muslim, that was a Christian? Yeah?
Hey.
So you do?
Me?
I said yes. Huh?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Anyways, what did you guys discuss? Who wants to represent their group and say, talk about what they discussed? Yeah. So can you be quiet?
How old was Aisha?
Good.
You don't see.
We said that what's wrong with the question, or with the question is that they're saying that it should be simple, like it should be simple to understand. Well, what they don't understand is that God is simple, God is complex. So how are we as humans with our limited mind supposed to understand like all the complexities that
Everyone.
All right. So there is a concept of even in Christianity there is a concept of the simplicity of God. Like a lot of times that we call like His essence is, they call it simple, but not in the way that we think of simple, right? So so it's hard to say complex. However, God is the creator of the universe, right? And He created all things. If we can't understand with this limited mind the universe that He created, forget about it. The universe, this human body that He created, okay, forget about it. Just your brain, right? If we can't understand that, right? Why do we think that we can completely grasp God who He is with this limited mind that we have to this point, right? So just because the idea that like, oh, it's not simple to understand doesn't make it false, right? It doesn't make it false. It's just how it is. So the Christians, we didn't say God is 3 and 1. We didn't say that because we felt like we wanted like to get one God, right? It's because God revealed Himself as so, right? The Bible reveals itself even from the beginning. The Muslims, they say, we believe in the Bible, but they say the Bible is incorrect, right? And then they also use the Bible back as an argument while they say it's being corrupt, right? So, like for example, even in the very beginning, it says, God created the heaven and the earth, right? And then it says, the Spirit of God was dwelling on the waters. Right? So now you see God the Father, and then you also see the Spirit of God, right? When you look at all over the Bible, and then when He said He wanted to create human beings, what did He say? Let me create human beings? What did He say? What did He say? Did He say, let me create human beings? What did He say? Huh? Did He say, let me?
Oh, let us.
He said, let us create human beings. Right? He used the plural, right? So, even to the beginning of the Bible, it's already showing you like a plurality in God. Even just the beginning, even like the first chapter, right? So what Christianity is doing is we're not inventing things. And by the way, that specific page, you'll also find it in the Torah. What's the Torah? Who knows what the Torah is? The Jewish Bible, right? So even in the Jewish Bible, you'll see the same thing. Right? So we didn't invent it, but that's how God revealed Himself us. And are we going to say, oh, because we can't understand it, we think you are one, so you are going to be one? Or are we going to force that kind of one personness on God? Or are we going to accept who He is? Right? We're going to accept who He is. So as Christians, we accept who He is and how He revealed Himself. Right? And we don't try to fit Him in our heads. Right? And those that are beyond us, they are beyond us. Because, by the way, if you want to understand God, you should go the path of sanctity. Because when you go the path of sanctity, God has the capacity to increase your capacity. Can God increase your capacity? For knowledge, He can increase your capacity for knowledge. He can increase your capacity to do anything. Okay, right? So as you get closer to Him, not only do you know Him more, but you know Him more than you can know Him, because you can know Him now because He has increased your capacity. Right? So in that deep, intimate relationship, you get to know God more than you can today because God can increase your capacity. Right? So if you want to know God, you go the path of sanctity, right? And holiness. And all the saints, all those that went through the path of sanctity to become saints, to work wonders with the power of who? With the power of God, by the way. We were talking over there, no miracles in Muslims, right? The Christians, you see all these saints doing wonders until even very recently. All of them, they say that God is Holy Trinity. Right? So we accept what God has revealed Himself to us as. Does that make sense? Not what we can fit in our minds. Yes. We don't call them Christians. But there are the Jehovah's Witnesses, maybe Seventh-day Adventists, I'm not sure, but the Jehovah's, they think Jesus is the Son of God, is creation. right? But most their version of the Holy Trinity, meaning that the three divine persons are one essence, the Catholics, the Orthodox. In the Holy Trinity, we have similar theology, except that procession part, like proceeds from the Father and Son. All right, what time is it?
1:30.
This time, 1:30.
All right, Miss Alphas, maybe we're going to do a little bit of this after Casisiona system. But now it's lunchtime. Any questions before we? Any questions? Yeah.
So like, Muslims believe that like Gabriel like told Muhammad like about like
Yeah.
right? And like in the Bible it says like any like angel that like tells you different stories like a verse, right? So like yeah, like Mark like that. So like would that make if it's so if that's true, like would that make if it's not true, like what does that say that that person?
Well, like about what?
Like that proxy, do they believe that like Gabriel from the
Okay. And then what?
But in the Bible,
What did the Bible say? Repeat it.
it says that like any angel does you a false like prophecy or like truth would be
No
personal.
angel will tell you a false prophecy.
Something like that.
Oh, it's not. It says if any angel, if anyone teaches you something from what the apostles have taught. Remember, we said that our church is apostolic. We believe in what the apostles teach, right? If anyone teaches you something different from what the apostles have taught, even if it was the angel of heaven, that is the accursed. That's what the Bible says. And what's your question?
Like,
Are you saying that like Gabriel is accursed?
no.
No. Are you saying that is that does that imply that? Are you asking that? Okay, let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. Do we, as Christians, guys, do we believe that Gabriel actually talked to Muhammad? Do we? We don't believe that Gabriel talked, a demon might have talked to him for sure. By the way, even in our church, there are many times where demons, they would come, and just to answer your question. The demons, they would come either in vision or in dreams, right? And they will pretend to be one of the saints. It's all over the literature of the saints, right? And they will say, I'm seeing Gabriel. Or they would say, remember, the demons, the devil is the father of lies, right? So he would say, he will go all the way to say, I am the Son of God. He would go all the way to say, I am Jesus. He will go all the way to pretend as he is Saint Mary, or Saint Gabriel, or Saint Michael, right? And what the saints used to do when they saw these kind of things, because a lot of times, like imagine, like in a vision, you are seeing Saint Gabriel coming to you, and he says, okay, God has chosen you to do this and this and this. What are you going to feel? That's good, right? Like, okay, I must be really good. I must be so special, right? So that's what he's seeking, by the way. That's how he deceives you. That's why he's seeking, because he knows that you have an ego, right? And he will come to you and lie to you. That he's Gabriel, and that you've been chosen to do the work of God. The saints have been tempted like this. What did they do? They say, can you make the sign of the cross? And he wouldn't. Why? Because the demons are scared of the sign of the cross. And then what do? And they just do the sign of the cross and he vanishes them. Right? So, maybe that's the case with Muhammad, but in his case, he didn't do the sign of the cross and he said, oh, this sounds good. I must be a very special prophet. Right? So, this is all over the saints. All over the saints. You see the demons pretending to be one of the saints or the angels. Right? So that's what we believe. And if we say that angel is accursed, first off, an angel will not teach you something that apostles didn't teach you. And if they do teach you, they are angels, but they are fallen angels, they're demons. And they're pretending to be holy angels. Make sense? So you're really not. But that answer your question though, right? Okay, we create a question. Sorry if I answered it.
I want to hear this.
I'm trying to save it from the not like accuracy of the
Like, how does it prove that
No,
that's
not what I'm trying to say, like, it just comes to show
Oh, is that what you're saying? Thank you. Very good. What she's saying is that because the apostles already said, even if an angel comes and tells you something apart of the gospel, it's accursed. What even they say, like Jibril comes and teach something apart from the gospel, which he did in the case of the Muslims, it's accursed. Meaning, it's not true, it's false, and it will take you to darkness. Right? Does that make sense? Thank you. Sorry, Mahali.